Are you afraid? Sylvia casually picked up a big mango by the roadside. Jack was speechless for a long time. How could he say that he was afraid? It was not easy to reunite with her, and he had not married yet. He did not want to be impotent. Sylvia, listen to me, okay? Jack said. Sylvia ignored him and asked the vendor how much the mango was for. Then she paid for 2 big mangoes. The two strolled until 10:30 p.m. before slowly returning home. Sylvia walked very slowly as she ate the pineapple. Jack, the pineapple here is really sweet. Do you want to try some? Sylvia, don't eat too much. The pineapple will give you excessive heat. You're still injured. Jack felt like he was being a worrying mother. It's okay to eat a little. Sylvia's smiling eyes suddenly narrowed. Before Jack could react, he was pushed to the back of the car parked by the side of the road. Hide, quickly! Sylvia pressed down on his head. Immediately after, there were several gunshots coming from the place where the two of them had been standing. Jack looked at the place where they had been standing and saw that the tree next to them had been shot through by bullets. Immediately after, the car glasses that the two of them were leaning against were also shattered. The glass fell down with a crash. Jack subconsciously protected Sylvia's body to prevent it from hurting her. Sylvia was stunned. This was probably the first time she had encountered such a dangerous situation where a man was protecting her. She sighed deeply and pulled Jack away. Sylvia, don't move. Jack frowned, and his tone had never been so fierce. Since Manda has delivered herself to my door, how can I let her escape? Sylvia pushed him away and moved to the side of the car. She saw Manda and 2 of her subordinates sitting in a shabby van, continuously attacking them. She closed her eyes and silently thought for a few seconds. Then she quickly shot to blow up the 2 tires of the minivan. Manda, who was in the car, was shocked. She didn't expect that the car was still moving. This policewoman could accurately blow up the minivan. She was so depressed that she wanted to die. Miss, the car can't go on anymore, one of her subordinates hurriedly said. Let's go first. We caused a commotion here. There's no need to rush to take revenge now. What do you know? I must kill Jack and this woman. Can you see how intimate they are? Manda was already furious. She was a high-born mistress. Everyone around her had always obeyed her. But Jack didn't care about her at all. It didn't occur to her that Jack was a spy, and it seemed that he had something going on with this policewoman. She really wanted to kill these 2 people. After saying that, she acted even more fiercely. Seeing that the car that Sylvia was hiding turned into a beehive, several cars suddenly surrounded her from both sides of the road. Jeremy got out of the car and shouted through the walkie-talkie. You are surrounded. Get out of the car and surrender now. Manda's expression changed. Her subordinate smiled bitterly and said, Miss, we can't escape. It seems that we have fallen into a trap this time. I said that you shouldn't take action, so you should find a place to hide. Shut up! Manda roared fiercely. A sinister glint flashed in her eyes. There's a sea by the side. You guys drive out immediately. One of her subordinates gritted his teeth and was about to start the car again, but just as he moved, he was immediately killed. Following that, Jeremy led his men and slowly broke through the encirclement. Manda did not have any subordinates, so she did not dare to resist. She could only let Jeremy come up and handcuff her. It's all right, let's go. Sylvia pulled Jack out. Jack, you betrayed us! I won't let you off! Manda looked at him and instantly became furious. Her eyes were burning with flames. Why won't you let him off? Sylvia's deep gaze revealed a mocking smile. He has never betrayed you. He was originally the most outstanding scientist. He joined your organization only to become a spy, and all of this was forced by you. An organization like yours that has done countless heinous things for huge benefits should have been eradicated long ago. Manda's face instantly turned pale. She also knew what would happen in the end. She regretted it. She should not have been unable to control herself after seeing Jack. She should have escaped and regrouped her forces. Now she was really finished. And all of this was because of Jack. She glared fiercely at Jack, wishing that she could cut him into 1,000 pieces. This woman really doesn't know how to repent. Sylvia shook her head. Fortunately, she had caught her today. Otherwise, if she had run away, she might have let the tiger return back to the forest. Sylvia, Professor Kipling, thank you for being bait today. Jeremy's thoughts were similar to Sylvia's as he said with a smile. Jack was stunned. In fact, he had guessed it just now, but it was only after Jeremy said it that he was completely sure. So he had somehow become bait? Why didn't Sylvia tell him? He was really angry. Don't say that. As long as we can catch her, this is what we should do, Sylvia said to Amanda with a smile. When you guys were following me at the dock, I noticed it. Did you think that I couldn't see you guys in the car? You've been wandering around for the whole night. Is it how you follow people? It's too obvious. Amanda was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down. This was her first time following someone. In the past, she had always been the one commanding others to do things for her. Since you already knew where I was, why didn't you act earlier? We didn't want to have a conflict with you in the downtown area because we wanted to avoid hurting innocent people, Sylvia said calmly. And you also don't dare to act in the downtown area anymore. If you make a big fuss and alert the Samoan police, you won't be able to escape. Amanda's lips twitched. She finally understood. Let's go. Get in the car. Jeremy escorted Amanda into the car. I'll send you off, Sylvia said with a smile. Sylvia, come back with me. Jack grabbed her hand in annoyance. She hadn't even recovered yet, and she was already going to escort a prisoner? It was simply outrageous. I won't do anything in the car, Sylvia said with a smile. Go sit in the police car behind. I still need to chat with Miss Amanda for a while. What's there to talk about? Jack was completely baffled. All right, don't mind me. Sylvia pushed Amanda into the police car. Jack stood at the door for a while. He had no choice but to squeeze in with Langdon and the others. Along the way, his face was dark. Not only was he angry that Sylvia didn't tell him about today's arrangements, but he was also angry that Sylvia and Jeremy were sitting in the car in front. Langdon said, Professor Kipling, don't be angry. Sylvia didn't tell you because she was afraid that you wouldn't agree to her taking the risk. Of course I don't agree. Jack's handsome face was livid. If you want to be bait, I'll go. Amanda wants to kill me the most. Why would she go? She hasn't even recovered from her injuries. That's why she didn't tell you. Langdon sighed. Mr. Kipling, I admit that you're very good at being a spy. I admire you for being safe and sound for so many years. But being bait isn't like that. If Amanda makes a sudden move, you won't be able to avoid it without acute skills. Sylvia won't be at ease with you being bait alone. Moreover, Sylvia thinks Amanda likes you. If she sees you with a woman who's very close to you, she'll definitely be jealous and hot-headed. Think about it. She just lost her father and her organization. She's always wanted to conquer you, but she saw you being conquered by another woman. How shameful would a proud person like her feel? Jack was speechless. Indeed, Amanda was such a proud and arrogant woman. Rather than saying that she liked him, it would be more accurate to say that she was interested in him and wanted to conquer him. The more he looked down on her, the more she wanted him. He smiled bitterly. So, Sylvia and I went to the seaside for a holiday and spent time alone. That was part of the plan, right? Langdon coughed lightly and said with a twinkle, Don't say that. The more upscale your hotel was, the more anger Amanda would have. Jack stared at him coldly. In the end, he stared until Langdon was speechless. Only then did he sigh heavily and ignored the other people in the car. In the car in front, Sylvia sat in the front passenger seat while Jeremy and Amanda sat in the back. Sylvia looked back at Amanda from time to time. It had to be said that when she first saw Amanda, she still felt that she was quite good-looking. However, it was probably because too many things had happened recently that she looked haggard and much older. "What are you looking at, ugly freak?" Amanda felt like she was being stared at like an animal in a zoo, and she gave an extremely uncomfortable glare. "You're calling me ugly?" Sylvia pointed at herself and smiled in surprise. Amanda gritted her teeth. "Who are you? What's your relationship with Jack? Are you pretending to be a couple?" "Do we need to pretend? I'm his girlfriend, Sylvia." Sylvia sneered. "Have you forgotten that 3 years ago you almost got someone to kill me?" Amanda was stunned and frowned. She seemed to have heard of such a thing, but she was not very clear because it was done by the leader of the organization. Moreover, she had never seen Sylvia's photo. He could finish, Jack lowered his head in embarrassment, but a sound of came out of his mouth. "It's been a long time." Sylvia was tickled by his cuteness. It was rare for him to take the initiative. After hesitating for a long time, she finally picked up his face and kissed it helplessly. Jack was overjoyed. Just when he thought she was going to take another step forward, Sylvia said earnestly, "It hasn't been a long time. Didn't we do it when we met? You've endured it for 3 years. So why are you in such a hurry? Besides, you didn't care about this thing in the past." Jack was dumbfounded. It was as if the steak in his mouth had suddenly flown away. I didn't." "Yes, you didn't." After saying that, Sylvia sighed and let go of him. She got off the bed to change. "Sylvia," Jack followed her gloomily. "Yes, but after you open that door and let me see the vast world, I've already spread my wings." Sylvia stumbled and almost knocked on the locker door room. She put her hands on her hips helplessly. Seriously, what happened to a puppy that used to be so innocent? Just as she was about to speak, she suddenly heard a staccato voice coming from the living room outside. As expected, not only did someone in the Kipling family wake up, it seemed like a guest had arrived. However, the man in front of her did not seem aware of it. She could only remind him. "It seems that there are guests at your house." "Oh, but it's none of my business." He was no longer interested in anything or anyone other than Sylvia in front of him. Sylvia rubbed the space between her eyebrows. "It should be some of your relatives. After all, you've been missing for so long. It's quite normal for your relatives and friends to come and see you when they know that you're back. Didn't your mother say last night that your aunts are quite concerned about you?" "Oh, really? I didn't really listen." Amanda was also a woman. She quickly noticed Sylvia's hostility towards her. This hostility was not because of their identities, but merely because they were women. "What do you want?" Amanda frowned gloomily. Sylvia could not help but laugh. "What can I do? I just want to take a good look at you. I heard that you were eyeing my man covetously and even gave him food that he shouldn't eat. Are you that thirsty? Are you so unwanted? You shut up!" Amanda was so angry that her face turned dark. If this is the kind of thing that was exposed in public, any proud woman would lose face. "Why didn't you feel embarrassed when you were doing it?" Sylvia sneered. "Unfortunately, even if you drugged him, he wouldn't touch you. You're the only one who dares to covet my man. Get over yourself. You're their captain, aren't you?" Amanda couldn't argue with her, so she looked at Jeremy angrily. "You're still in Samoa, and I'm an American citizen. Can you bully me as you please? Even if you go to court, I can find a lawyer to sue you." Captain Jeremy shrugged helplessly. He didn't expect Sylvia would sit next to him to humiliate Amanda. It seemed that she had been provoked by Amanda on the fish farm. Maybe he didn't know Sylvia well enough. She was too fierce. A woman like Manda wasn't even a rival in love. Yet she still wanted to bully her and attack her with words. She really had Aaron's style. "Did I attack your personality just now?" Sylvia asked with a smile. "Did I say something wrong? Did I slander you again? Or do you think you're beautiful? Do you deny that you did covet Jack? A few nights ago, when you came out of the fish farm with him, you had a flat tire. I heard clearly how you molested him." Manda was shocked. "I'm sorry. I was hiding in the grass at that time." Sylvia's smile became more and more dangerous. "You had the nerve to say that you're good, but you failed to conquer him." Manda blushed even more. Both sides of her face seemed to have been hit by verbal attacks. She finally understood that this woman was getting into the car to humiliate her. "Yeah? So what if I'm coveting Jack? I've seen him every day for the past 2 years. I've even flirted with him. I've touched him, too. If you have the ability, kill me." "You're really horny. You have the nerve to show off by touching him?" Sylvia shook her head. "I won't kill you. A person like you will be punished sooner or later anyway. I came here to get to know you. The last woman who coveted my man has already been cleaned by me. But you're not even as good as my previous love rival. You're really ugly." After saying that, Sylvia did not look back anymore. She lowered her head and started playing with her phone. Manda was so angry that she wanted to bite her to death. However, she was quickly suppressed by Jeremy. He warned, "Don't move." Manda was so discouraged that she curled up in the chair. Jeremy rubbed the space between his eyebrows. He did not know whether to laugh or cry in this situation. It seemed like it was better to offend anyone than to offend a woman like Sylvia. When they reached the police station, Jeremy led the prisoners to the police station. Tomorrow, they were going to hand the prisoners over to the Italian Interpol. Sylvia got out of the car and waved at Manda. "Goodbye. No, I may never see you again." Manda's legs trembled and she was about to break down. Sylvia turned around in a good mood and saw Jack standing behind her with a frown. "Are you angry?" Sylvia quickly hid the smile on her face and went forward to hug him. Jack took a step back and directly dodged. His handsome face was gloomy. "You won't tell me anything anyway. Do you mind if I get angry?" If it was in the past, Jack might have gotten used to Sylvia standing in front to protect her. But it was different now. He was better than before. After all, 3 years of undercover work was not in vain. "I was just afraid that you wouldn't agree," Sylvia smiled bitterly. Langdon had just explained all this to Jack in the car. He understood it, but it didn't mean that he didn't mind at all. "Sylvia, you lied to me." Jack felt very hurt, and it was terrible. "You said that you wanted to spend some time alone with me by the sea. You said that you haven't been so happy in a long time. You don't know how happy I've been these 2 days. But all of this was a lie that you made up for me." "Wow, no wonder you're so angry." Langdon, who had just passed by, could not help but look sideways with a smile. "Sylvia, you're wrong to say that. This mission is the mission. How can you lie to Professor like that?" Sylvia rolled her eyes at him. "Why haven't you left yet?" "He doesn't have to leave. I'll leave." Jack turned around and walked along the road in a huff. It was already dark and the streets were sparsely populated. Sylvia quickly chased after him. "Jack, come back with me. My wound is starting to hurt again." She coquettishly wrapped her arms around him. "You still know how to feel pain?" Jack became even angrier. "You haven't even recovered from your injury, yet you still want to catch a criminal? Sylvia, you're not a transformer." "I promise I won't do it again," Sylvia swore. "You always lie to me." Jack didn't believe it at all. "Do you know the story of the cry wolf?" Sylvia felt a headache. She frowned and said solemnly, "Jack, I understand that you're angry, but I'm not lying to you about what I said at the seaside hotel. I'm really happy to be able to spend time with you. I even want to accompany you after this mission. We can go to Tibet or just travel around. All these years, my brother often went on a trip with April. Actually, I'm quite envious. I also want to have someone to accompany me." The anger on Jack's face slowly faded away, replaced by sadness and guilt. It was his fault. As her boyfriend, he had made her worried. If she had not met him, perhaps her boyfriend would have been a business elite, a doctor, or a lawyer, and she would not have had to work so hard. Sylvia sighed and continued, "If we didn't lure Amanda out today, she would be a ticking time bomb at any time. When you were young, Amanda's father founded the Talks organization and was later arrested by the police. But in less than 10 years, he's made a comeback. For a person like Amanda who grew up in a criminal organization, it will be very difficult for her to return to the right path. Moreover, she will definitely avenge the organization and her father. I don't want the incident that happened 3 years ago to happen again. So I must destroy the root of the problem. Moreover, if we don't capture her, what is the use of your 3 years of undercover? What are we doing after being separated for so many years?" Jack was shocked. Actually, he knew what Sylvia had said. However, it seemed like he was being too petty. "Sylvia, I admit that you're right, but I don't see it as far as you do because I only have eyes for you. I'm here as a spy because of you. If you're not around one day, then what's the point in doing all this?" Sylvia's eyes reddened. She bit her lip and reached out to hug him tightly. "Sylvia, I'm not that great." Jack smiled bitterly and reached out to hug her. "But you're a police officer. I think the situation is different from what you see." "I'm not that great this time." Sylvia tried her best to hold back her tears. She just curled her lips. "It's all because of Amanda. That woman, if I don't deal with her, I won't be getting back to normal. I still have a personal grudge against her. First, she's eyeing my man. Second, the medicine she gave you made you suffer so much. If it weren't for your strong willpower, would we be standing here as if nothing had happened?" Jack came to a sudden realization, and his heart was instantly filled with warmth. "So, Sylvia, you did all this for me?" "Of course!" Sylvia nodded vigorously. "I'm not that great because you're very, very important to me. I won't allow anyone to covet you. Just now, I humiliated her in the car." Jack didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Sylvia, is it necessary? I've never actually paid attention to Amanda." "As for that," Sylvia admitted openly, "I'm just that overbearing." Jack stared at the woman under the street lamp. A gust of sea breeze blew past, blowing the strands of hair beside her ear. He gently brushed the hair to her ear, his gaze gentle. Although he had never interacted with other women, he knew that Sylvia was not an ordinary woman. However, the more they got along, the more he loved her. He liked her tyranny and her domination. "Are you still angry?" Sylvia raised her head. Her big black eyes reflected the starry sky. "I'm not angry anymore. In the future, we can really be together without any scruples." Jack held her hand. "But Sylvia, you should discuss your decision with me in the future. After all, I'm not as timid and cowardly as I was 3 years ago. At that time, I only knew how to stand behind you." Sylvia burst into laughter. "Were you a coward in the past?" "I don't think so. You're a hero in my heart." "Hero?" Jack's eyes lit up. He smiled and said nothing. "Sylvia, let's go home." "Okay." 2 days later, a group of people left Samoa by plane. After traveling for 2 days, it was already evening when they arrived back in their country. However, there were still many colleagues waiting outside. The one who took the lead was the captain of Interpol. Behind him were a few policemen. One of them was a woman with neat short hair. She looked valiant and cool. When she saw Jeremy, a gentle smile immediately appeared on her face. However, when her gaze swept past Sylvia beside her, she became serious. Sylvia was extremely sharp. With one glance, she could see that the policewoman was sizing her up. In addition, she had also noticed her. After all, she was also a woman. Moreover, she was young and she looked good. She smiled and looked at Jeremy beside her. "Jeremy, is your girlfriend here too?" Jeremy was stunned for a few seconds. His gaze fell on Lyra and he nodded. "How do you know?" "Because I'm a policeman." Before Sylvia could finish her joke, her body was suddenly pulled to the side. Jack forcefully squeezed between him and Jeremy. She was speechless. Jeremy also raised his eyebrows. "Professor Kipling, it's actually useless for you to keep a close watch on me. Sylvia and I have always been childhood friends." "I'm not staring at you." Jack blinked and looked at him as if nothing had happened. "Don't think too much." After saying that, he hugged Sylvia's shoulders tightly. Jeremy was a little choked. "All right, this guy knows how to act now. Fair enough. Undercover work was not in vain." Sylvia heard it too. She turned around and pinched Jack's thigh. "Not bad." Jack frowned in pain. He was forced by the situation. Walking closer, the captain of the Interpol team took the lead to hold Jack's hand. "Professor Kipling, it's been hard for you these past few days. Talks organization is currently cancer in many countries. Some of their illegal research has harmed many people. This time, they captured a total of 200 illegal researchers who escaped from all over the world. It's all thanks to you." "It's good that you've captured them," Jack said with a smile. "In the future, I can go back and continue to study physics." The captain smiled. "I've already informed your parents about your mission a few days ago. They're all very happy that you're still alive. It's just that these past few years haven't been easy. After all, they all thought that you were gone." Jack was startled and his eyes dimmed. Back then, in order to hide the truth, he hadn't even told his parents. Since they were both researchers, he was afraid that the people of the Talks organization were also secretly hiding in the country. After all, the circle of researchers was only so big. "My family didn't move, right?" he asked hesitantly. "No, your parents are still in their old house," the captain said. "Go back as soon as possible and take a look. Tomorrow, our director will personally give you an award. Please come to the Central Bureau. In the evening, a few of our colleagues who participated in this operation will welcome you." "No," Jack shook his head directly and said indifferently. "These are not important to me. I just want to spend more time with my parents and my girlfriend and then get married as soon as possible. I'm not interested in anything else. I don't want to waste time." He was really rude. The captain was stunned for a while, and Sylvia quickly explained. "Captain, he is such a person. In the past, he never interacted with others. Moreover, he left home for 3 years and was injured. He really needs to get back on track urgently." "It's okay. We are police officers. We've interacted with all kinds of people." The captain smiled and waved his hand. "We are just very grateful to Mr. Kipling, but we don't know how to thank him. I didn't think about his injuries. I forgot that he's still injured, but I still have to give him the medal. I will have someone send it over tomorrow. When you get married, remember to send us an invitation. We will all attend." "Thank you, Captain." Sylvia was flattered. They were both captains, but his position was not something she could compare to. At this time, the female police officer next to him walked up to Jeremy and asked gently, "Jer, I heard that you were also injured this time." "Just a minor injury." Jeremy was silent for a while before turning to Sylvia with mixed feelings. "Sylvia, this is my girlfriend, Lyra. She's from Team 2. "Hello." Sylvia quickly shook hands with her and smiled generously. "I've heard about you from Jeremy. You're very beautiful." "You're also very beautiful." Lyra sized her up. "I've heard about you from him too. Are you his ex-girlfriend?" Everyone around looked at her strangely. Sylvia smiled embarrassedly. That's all in the past. Jeremy awkwardly clenched his fist and coughed. Don't just stand there. Let's go back. The group of people chatted as they walked out. As the main character and the hero this time, Jack was surrounded by people. Lyra walked beside Sylvia. She smiled and took the initiative to chat with Sylvia. Officer Bennett, actually, I wanted to meet you for a long time. Sylvia was helpless. She understood that the ex was always the most annoying to the current boyfriend or girlfriend. Just like Jack, no matter how many times she told him that Jeremy had a girlfriend, he always kept his guard up. Officer Lyra, Jeremy and I are past tense. Now we're more like friends, and I also have a boyfriend. I sincerely wish the two of you the best, Sylvia said from the bottom of her heart. I also hope that Jeremy can be happy. Don't misunderstand. I don't have any hard feelings. Lyra waved her hand and said generously, You and Professor Kipling have been separated for so many years, but your relationship has remained the same. I'm quite impressed. I'm just curious about you because when I fell in love with Jeremy, he only had you in his heart. But I'm not jealous of you. Love is not first come, first served. Later, I chased after him with all my might and finally got him. Sylvia nodded. Jeremy had always been very rational and gentle when it came to relationships. In fact, his EQ was not very high. So, it was impossible for him to take the initiative to pursue someone else. Officer Bennett, I used to think about what kind of woman Jeremy fell in love with. Now I see that you're very beautiful, very brave, and very righteous, Lyra said with a smile. I hope to come here often in the future. We'll have the opportunity to work together to solve crimes. After all, we're both female police officers. Sylvia couldn't help but laugh. It's not possible for the time being because I plan to go back and get married and have children. Lyra was stunned for a moment and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're right. As a woman, getting married and having children is still necessary. When the time comes, Jeremy and I will go to the wedding banquet together. You are very welcome. When they walked into the parking lot, Jack appeared beside Sylvia without anyone noticing. He grabbed her hand. Sylvia, Captain and I have an agreement. Let's go home. Go home? Sylvia was a little confused. My parents are waiting for me at home. Jack's dark eyes revealed a happy glow. You'll go with me. Sylvia's legs trembled. Was she going to meet her future parents-in-law so suddenly? It's necessary for you to go back, but isn't it abrupt for me to go with you? I think it's better for you to go back first. I'll stay in a hotel. You can pick me up after you talk to your parents about me tonight, Sylvia said hesitantly. She would be nervous when she met her parents-in-law for the first time. Jack frowned. He didn't understand. We've known each other for 5 years and had a relationship for 4 years. It's not abrupt at all. Sylvia was embarrassed and couldn't help but retort. You have the nerve to say that we've been in love for 4 years. We haven't talked on the phone for almost 3 years, okay? So you deny that we've had a relationship for 4 years? Jack disagreed. When I went undercover, we didn't break up. Although we didn't talk, I missed you every day. This is a sublimation of our relationship on another level. Sylvia shivered. As a scientist, her words were so cultured. I'm just afraid of scaring your parents, okay? Besides, your parents will definitely have a lot to talk to you about when you go back tonight. But I don't want to talk to them. Jack's tone was bitter. Other than scientific research, our family rarely talks about anything else. Sylvia was speechless. What kind of family was this? That won't happen. I've heard that in the 3 years you've been away, your parents haven't been doing much scientific research. The projects in their hands have basically all stopped. They regret not fulfilling their responsibilities as parents. Your family rarely talks about your personal lives. Maybe your parents are like you and don't really care about people, but you're their biological child, so they must care about you a lot." Jack lowered his eyes. He knew this since he knew how much he missed his parents during the years he was away. He also felt sorry for them, but he really didn't know how to talk to them. "Sylvia, you should come back with me." Jack held her hand tightly. "Not only did I go back, but I also brought a wife back. They would definitely be very happy. Not only are our bodies one, but our souls are fused. We really don't need to care too much about this." Sylvia's emotions were like a roller coaster. "What do you mean by souls are fused? Is it suitable for a scientist to say things like that? Moreover, there are people around. Is it appropriate for you to say these words?" Sylvia felt the gazes of Langdon and the others on the side sweeping over, and her face burned. Langdon said with a face full of admiration, "Professor Kipling is indeed knowledgeable. He speaks in a certain way. I believe that it won't be long before we'll be able to attend your child's birthday party." "Get lost!" Sylvia kicked him in anger. Jack didn't hear her teasing and nodded with a smile. "Okay, I'll work hard." Everyone laughed. Sylvia was so embarrassed that she stepped on Jack a few times. If you don't speak, no one will treat you as a mute. Jack looked innocent after being stepped on. In the end, Sylvia couldn't resist Jack's persuasion and followed him back to the Kipling family. In the car, Sylvia took out her supplies bag and started to put on her makeup. It was not that she was not beautiful, but she had been on the sea for the past 2 days and had not rested well at all. She looked rather haggard. It was her first time meeting her parents-in-law, so her image could not be too bad. Jack sat silently by the side and watched her put on her makeup. After she put away her makeup bag, he smiled and said, "Sylvia, you're so beautiful, just like a fairy." Sylvia immediately noticed that the police officer in front of her burst into laughter. "Shut up!" Sylvia rolled her eyes at Jack. Even if he wanted to praise someone, he could be more careful in choosing his words. Jack silently shut his mouth and looked aggrieved. He did not know what he had done wrong. He was clearly praising her, but he was still scolded. The Kipling family was located in the western district of the country. About 50 minutes later, the car stopped on a small road and was filled with old-styled villas. Sylvia looked to the side and saw that the car was parked in front of a rather large courtyard house. She was secretly surprised. Although she knew that Jack's family was quite well educated, she didn't expect that they would have such a courtyard house, where every inch of the land was worth a fortune. Such a courtyard house was usually sold at a sky-high price, and no one would sell it. She sighed. "Jack, it looks like you guys have some family background back in royalty." Jack nodded. "I heard from my grandfather that the ancestor was an assistant minister in the palace. However, his family slowly declined later. Now there are only a few people left, and we are the only lineage." The corner of Sylvia's mouth twitched. With such a large house, the family still declined? The courtyard house was located in a good location. Jack opened the car door for her. Before he could knock on the door, the courtyard house door creaked open and a middle-aged couple hurriedly walked out. "Jack!" The moment Rosaria saw Jack, her tears rushed out of her eyes and she rushed up to hug him. "You're not dead? That's great! How could you just go out and be a spy? You didn't even tell your father and me. We all thought something bad happened to you." "Yeah!" Adam's eyes were also red, but he could control himself a little better than Rosaria. "Look at what you've become. You've suffered a lot. You said that you're good enough to stay in the research lab. What kind of undercover work were you doing? Could you handle it?" Other than being buried when he was 12, Jack had never seen his parents lose control like this. He was stunned for a moment and then lowered his head and said apologetically, "I'm sorry that I've troubled you."
I didn't tell you at that time because I was afraid that you would leak it out. After all, you know a lot of scientific researchers. I didn't know if any of them knew anyone from the Tox Organization. The Tox Organization is a tumor among U.S. scientists. Even if I don't help, they will find a way to deal with me. Have you forgotten what happened when I was 12?
Adam and Rosaria's faces were filled with guilt and sadness. That incident was due to their parents' negligence. However, ever since then, Jack seemed to have become a different person, sealing off the world. They didn't know what to do, but they had work to do, so they didn't have extra time to take care of him. However, they were shocked when they learned that their son was a spy these 2 days. Could their isolated son be a spy? Fortunately, he was already on his way back when they found out. They suddenly realized that they didn't know their son well enough. Perhaps they had been careless for too long.
Jack, we are the ones who should say sorry.
Rosaria was filled with self-reproach.
Don't cry, I'm back.
Jack was a little flustered, so he had to pull Sylvia over.
Let me introduce you. This is my wife.
What? Rosaria and Adam were dumbfounded. Sylvia was also a little stunned. The first time he introduced her to his parents, he said that she was his wife? Was this a good idea? Did he ever think about how his parents felt? She quickly explained awkwardly.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Kipling. I'm Jack's girlfriend, Sylvia.
Oh, you're Sylvia! Rosaria immediately remembered that her son had dated a girl before he went missing. They had gone to the girl's house for a new year. Initially, she and Adam had thought it was a time to hold a wedding for their son that year. But they didn't expect that their son had gone missing. She thought that his girlfriend had probably left him. She had not expected that her son would come back with his girlfriend after going through so much trouble. Rosaria came to a sudden realization. Immediately after, her eyes lit up. She quickly clenched her fist and coughed softly.
Sylvia, do you still remember that Jack gave you a flower pot of lily?
Before she could finish speaking, she was stepped on by Adam. He knew his wife's character. She was thinking about that pot of flowers. Previously, it was because their son had gone missing that she did not miss the flowers. Now that he was back, she was thinking about it again. Sylvia was also embarrassed. Jack had said that the pot of flowers was personally nurtured by Rosaria. It was very, very valuable. However, after Jack went missing, no one took care of it. She did not know how to raise the flowers at all. The flowers died. However, it had been so long, and Rosaria still mentioned this pot of flowers. It seemed that she valued it very much. If she said that the flowers were dead, would she still be able to marry into the Kipling family?
I just want to know how you raised that pot of flowers.
Rosaria forced out a smile.
That pot of flowers is quite difficult to raise.
Jack also looked at Sylvia curiously. He remembered that Sylvia was so poor at raising flowers that she even killed a pot of orchid, the toughest type among houseplants. Although he had given the pot of flowers to Sylvia, he had been taken when he left. He gave some fertilizer to Sylvia. However, he was not sure if Sylvia could take good care of it. Sylvia was speechless when she faced the gaze of the family. It was fine for Rosaria and Adam to look at her, but what was Jack looking at? Didn't he know what kind of character she had? It's not bad, I raised it well, Sylvia replied as if nothing had happened. I must take good care of such a rare breed. Rosaria heaved a sigh of relief.
Oh, that's good. It took me 10 years to cultivate that pot of flowers. Who knew that my son would steal the flowers when I wasn't paying attention?
After she said that, she secretly glanced at Sylvia. She had already said so much. If this future daughter-in-law was smart, she would be very tactful and take the initiative to return the flowers. Sylvia felt a headache coming on. She simply pretended not to understand what Rosaria was trying to imply. She forced herself to nod and put on a serious look.
I didn't expect it to be so expensive. Miss Kipling, don't worry. I will definitely take good care of it. Don't worry. She didn't mean that. Just as she was about to ask again, Adam felt that it was too embarrassing for his wife to bite down on a pot of flowers on Sylvia's first visit. He directly interrupted her.
Sylvia, she's relieved to hear that. It's still a little cold here this month. Let's go inside first.
Okay. Sylvia quickly followed Adam into the courtyard and let out a sigh of relief. After entering the courtyard, she was surprised to find that there were many strange flowers and plants in the courtyard. There were also pine, cypress, and ginkgo trees. There were other plants that she didn't recognize. In short, the courtyard was full of plants, leaving only a stone pathway in the middle of the hall. Adam explained to her,
Jack's mother is a biologist. She especially likes to study these flowers, plants, stones, and animals. These were all planted by her. I don't know where she got that big stone in the garden, but I heard that it is ancient.
Sylvia nodded in realization. After entering the hall, she realized that the living room was different from the other ones of ordinary people. Other people's living rooms was placed with vases and paintings, while their living room was placed with animal skeletons and various plant specimens. There was a corridor to the right hall of the room. Sylvia glanced at it and was so scared that she took a few steps back and leaned against Jack. It was nighttime now. The corridor was not lit and the cold moonlight shone in. At the end of the corridor, there seemed to be a skeleton standing there. It was eerie. Jack quickly held her and looked in the direction of her gaze. He smiled.
Sylvia, you're not afraid of that thing, right? What's there to be afraid of? Isn't it just a gorilla skeleton?
What do you mean it's just a gorilla skeleton? Sylvia's heart raced. Who wouldn't be scared to death by a skeleton in the hallway at night? How could you put such a precious thing in the hallway? Sylvia stuttered. That's not a real gorilla skeleton. I copied it, Rosaria said proudly. Do you want to go over and take a look? It's absolutely the same as the real thing. Sylvia wanted to cry but had no tears. Although she had seen all kinds of disgusting things when she worked at the police station, she could not stand seeing such things at home, especially because she had witnessed so many eyesores. Moreover, she was completely uninterested in such things. She really did not know why she had such a perverted hobby. Moreover, Jack and Adam looked like it was normal. Thank you for your kindness. I'll just watch from afar, Sylvia said embarrassedly.
All right, don't bother with her.
Adam could understand. After all, his wife was a research maniac. Not everyone liked these strange things.
In the past, when some of our relatives came over, they couldn't stand it. I didn't support placing these in the first place. It was just because every time I went out, she would bring them back without saying a word. I didn't spend much time at home, but later the home turned this way.
Sylvia understood and nodded. Fortunately, there was still one in this family that was normal. Rosaria sneered. Do you think I don't know that you just want to put out meteorites, globes, and telescopes? I get annoyed just by looking at them. Sylvia sighed in her heart. This was probably the way with a research family.
Sylvia, don't mind it. Sit.
Jack pulled her to a seat and then poured her tea. Rosaria kept sizing up Sylvia. Although she had thought that her daughter-in-law would be someone else, it wouldn't be a problem for her daughter-in-law to be Sylvia. She had set him up on a blind date before. In the end, when she brought him over, he ignored everyone. After she returned home, she didn't even know what he was doing outside. Therefore, she didn't dare to let him go on a blind date anymore. It was already good enough that he could have a wife. After all, she didn't expect him to get married.
Sylvia, I heard about you from Jack 3 years ago,
Adam said with a gratified smile.
I thought that you two would break up after he went missing for 3 years. I didn't expect. Well, I can see that your love is stronger than anything else.
Jack looked at Sylvia lovingly. At first, I was worried that Sylvia would run away. Fortunately, I told her that I was going undercover in advance.
Adam and Rosaria's expressions changed at the same time. Did this mean that his girlfriend knew about his undercover mission, but they, as parents, didn't? Could it be that his girlfriend was more important than his parents? Of course, Sylvia knew what his parents were thinking, so she quickly explained. Mr. and Mrs. Kipling, don't misunderstand. I'm a police officer and I'm also involved in this operation. Jack nodded vigorously. Yes, it was Sylvia who single-handedly rushed into the leader's villa and saved me. She was really amazing. Single-handedly? Rosaria gasped. How amazing was that? Sylvia held her head and rubbed it. Did Jack know how to speak? It seemed like she was very tough in front of her in-laws for the first time. She had wanted to pretend to be gentle and virtuous. Actually, it wasn't that exaggerated because there weren't many people in the villa at that time. Oh! Adam and Rosaria let out a sigh of relief at the same time. Jack smiled. But Sylvia was still very powerful. With just 2 punches, she knocked down 2 2-meter-tall strong men. Adam and his wife inhaled again. This daughter-in-law couldn't be provoked in the future. Sylvia was about to cry. If he didn't know how to talk, then shut up. That was also because I had help from the side. Sylvia quickly stood up because she didn't want to continue this topic. Auntie, may I use the bathroom? Just follow the gorilla skeleton and turn right, Rosaria said quickly. Sylvia blinked. All right. She really didn't want to go that way. Jack saw that she was silent, so he quickly said, Sylvia, I'll go with you. No need. You can chat with your parents for a while. Sylvia waved her hand. After all, Jack had just returned home. If he had to follow her even when she went to the bathroom, his parents might think that she had trained Jack too well. However, when she walked along the corridor, her mood was really not good. There were fossil photos of ancient creatures and pictures of insects on the walls of the corridor. It was really horrific. Fortunately, she was a person who frequented the morgue. Adam watched Sylvia's back disappear at the end of the corridor, then turned around and said to his son worriedly, Jack, your girlfriend looks, quite powerful. Jack nodded. She is very powerful. Adam smiled bitterly. Then, can you manage her? It was Jack's first time bringing his girlfriend home, so he didn't quite understand his parents' thoughts. He blinked and said innocently, Usually she manages me. Aren't your questions all nonsense? Rosaria rolled her eyes at her husband. When has your son ever been able to manage someone? Adam sighed. I was afraid that she would bully Jack. Jack was unhappy when he heard his mother say that. I really like being bullied by her. He liked the way Sylvia bullied him the most. Rosaria choked. So, she bullies you a lot? How can she bully me? We haven't seen each other for 3 years. Jack was dissatisfied with his mother's words. Sylvia is very protective of me. No one can bully me when I'm with her. But I don't think it's good. As a man, sometimes you have to protect your woman. Rosaria was gratified. She felt that her son had grown up. Well, as long as she treats you well, that's enough. Jack nodded vigorously. She treats me better than you do. Adam and Rosaria didn't know what to say at all. When Sylvia came out of the bathroom and saw that the family was very silent, she was a little puzzled. Rosaria stood up and said, You haven't had dinner yet, right? I'll get you something to eat. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Sylvia was a little embarrassed. No, it's your first time here. I should have made more food, but it's too late now. And I didn't know you would come. Rosaria said embarrassedly. Seeing this, Sylvia didn't refuse. When the pasta was served, Sylvia found that they were really terrible. Jack, who was sitting next to her, ate without changing his expression as if he had already gotten used to it. Fortunately, Rosaria knew her own limits.
I'm sorry. We're usually focused on research, so we're not really good at cooking. It's okay. Your food is especially delicious.
Sylvia quickly buried her head in the pasta and scooped up the last strand. At 9 o'clock, Rosaria saw that they were very tired, so she didn't drag them to chat.
Go back to your room and rest early. Jack, take Sylvia to the guest room.
No need. Jack pulled Sylvia up.
You can sleep in my room. Sylvia, let's go back to our room to sleep.
Rosaria and Adam were stunned.
Sylvia was dumbfounded and her face instantly turned red. Although she was usually very bold and arrogant when she was with him, that was also because she had him on her side. Now that he was holding her hand and saying that he was going to sleep with her in front of so many people, what would his parents think? Would they simply think that they were just tucking in and sleeping? Sylvia wanted to cry.
However, she could only bite the bullet and say,
I'll just sleep in the guest room. It was really not for someone as conservative and reserved as her to sleep in the man's bedroom on her first visit to his house.
Why?
Jack did not understand the twists and turns. Didn't we always sleep in the same room?
Sylvia squeezed his hand hard.
Shut up.
Rosaria, who had lived half her life, could understand the affairs of young people nowadays. She was shocked because her son had always been conservative. She really did not expect him to do such a thing before they got married. She also saw Sylvia's embarrassment and quickly hid the shock on her face. She pretended to smile indifferently.
You're right, you're gonna get married one day. Go, I'll bring you a new towel and a new toothbrush later.
No need, you can just use mine. Jack directly refused.
Rosaria was shocked. After all, she knew how misophobic her son was. Sylvia rolled her eyes at Jack. I need a toothbrush, okay? Who shares a toothbrush? Jack pursed his lips. He didn't think it mattered. Anyway, they were kissing.
Jack's room was on the second floor. There were some things for physics research and astronomy research on the upper floor. Sylvia finally understood that his house was just a place for his family to put some things for research. After entering Jack's bedroom, Sylvia was quite satisfied. The room was quite simple. There were many books and trophies. When she was studying the trophies in the bookcase, Jack found an old set of pajamas.
Sylvia, go take a shower. This is my t-shirt. You can use it as pajamas.
Sylvia took it, put her hands on her hips, and said snappily,
Next time your parents ask me some questions in front of you, can you stop interrupting and not describe me as very powerful? Jack felt a little wronged by her words. I didn't say anything wrong, and that's not a bad thing. Those are all your strengths.
Sylvia sighed.
Now parents don't like their daughter-in-law to be too powerful.
Why?
Jack looked at her blankly. Because if she's too powerful, they'll think that I'm going to bully you, Sylvia explained seriously. Sons are the treasures in their mother's heart. I don't think so. Jack shook his head. Sylvia, don't let your imagination run wild. Since we've decided to be together, we'll be together for the rest of our lives. My parents will find out about your personality sooner or later. There's no need to hide it. They don't like you. That's fine. If you don't come to see them in the future, I'll just be with you.
Sylvia didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
Getting married isn't that simple, okay? If your parents get old and you're the only child, they'll have to live with us sooner or later. If they don't like me, how can we continue to get along? Jack frowned. He had never thought of such a thing before. Could this be the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issue that was often shown on TV? Sylvia, you're so beautiful, kind-hearted, and perfect. If my parents don't like you, it's definitely their problem. You'd better do whatever you want. Sylvia had a headache. Was there no point in saying so much? Jack thought about it and said, I think my parents like you. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said that we were going to get married sooner or later. They didn't expect me to get a wife.
Sylvia was stunned. She remembered that he didn't like to talk to people. That was true. Anyway, you shouldn't have let me sleep in your bedroom tonight. It's better if I sleep in the guest room. It makes me look quite wild. Jack scratched the back of his head in distress.
When did you stop being wild?
Sylvia glared at him fiercely. He knew that she was wild, but he did not need to say it out loud. I'm only wild in front of you. I can't be wild in front of my mother-in-law. Jack grinned.
So you already think of my mother as your mother-in-law?
Sylvia cleared her throat. Sylvia turned around and walked into the bathroom. Halfway through, she suddenly remembered. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you something. That pot of flowers you gave me was actually raised to death by me. You lied to my mother. Jack was stunned. Can I not lie? Sylvia sighed. Look at your mother's face. If I said that the pot of flowers was dead, she would definitely hold a grudge against me. She might even kick me out directly. She wouldn't dare. Jack was furious, and he meant it. Sylvia was gratified and touched. Who told you to give me a flower like that? Don't tell her that the flower's dead. You have to hide it from her. Jack stroked her hair. Don't worry. If the flower is dead, so be it. My mother has a similar flower in her backyard. If you like it, I'll dig it for you. Sylvia's mouth twitched. She raised her hand and really wanted to slap him. Did he not understand human language? I beg you, please don't give them to me. You don't care about your mom's feelings. But I care. Besides, I don't have the mood to raise expensive flowers, okay? If you really want to give them to me, then give me a cactus. Really, I beg you, don't give me any more flowers that you want me to raise. After she said that, she went straight to the bathroom. Jack looked at her back and muttered in his heart that she wanted a cactus. Then he would go and give her the pot of rose balls that his mother had transplanted from Mexico. After not coming back for a long time, Jack sorted out some of the research materials in the room. About half an hour later, he saw Sylvia coming out of the bathroom. She was wearing his old t-shirt. His clothes were very loose on her, which made her body look petite. However, the clothes covered her thighs and her dry black hair draped lazily over her shoulders. She was simply charming. Jack instantly felt that the air was thin, so he quickly threw away the documents and went over. Sylvia, hurry up and take a shower. You've been sitting on the plane for so long. It's so dirty. Sylvia directly laid on his bed and flipped over the blanket to sleep. Jack gloomily looked at her back for a while before he had no choice but to take a shower. When he came out of the shower, he quickly patted Sylvia and realized that she had already fallen asleep. He sighed. He didn't want to go to bed so early. But Sylvia had fallen asleep. It had been a long time since Sylvia had slept so comfortably. It was probably Jack's bed. It was spacious, clean, and smelled like him. When she woke up, the sky was already bright. She quickly checked the time. Fortunately, it was 7:40 a.m. She could not sleep in on her first visit to her future mother-in-law's house. However, as soon as she woke up, her waist was entangled with someone. What? Sylvia turned her head and saw Jack squinting his sleepy eyes. His bangs were slightly messy and covered his delicate forehead. His entire face was indescribably cute, and it made her heart soften. Sleep more. Jack clung to her like a puppy and rubbed the tip of his nose against her clothes. His t-shirt was filled with the familiar fragrance. "I'm not sleeping anymore." Sylvia shook her head decisively and pulled herself away. "It's my first day at your house. If I slept until late in the morning, what do your parents think? Besides, they might be preparing breakfast for us." "I don't care." Jack's mind could not hear anything at that moment. He just felt regretful about last night. His eyes were no longer blurry. They were big and bright. There was still a hint of expectation in them, and his face was slightly red. Sylvia was speechless. "Even if you don't care, I care." But looking at him, "You don't want to..." Before she could finish, Jack lowered his head in embarrassment, but Jack looked at her blankly. Sylvia couldn't take it anymore. "How did you become a spy these past few years? By playing dumb?" "Cheer up," Jack said honestly. "There's nothing I can do about that. In order to come back earlier, I was so tired every day. I've never been so tired. I still like my old life." Sylvia wanted to cry. It turned out that one could be a good undercover agent if one worked hard. Why had she worked hard every day at the police station for so many years in the past? "Your previous life was unhealthy," Sylvia sighed softly. "Didn't you like it?" Jack instantly became nervous. Sylvia was at a loss for words. After thinking, she realized that if he had been talkative and sociable, would she still know him? The person she knew and liked was the simple and ignorant Jack. It didn't mean that she wouldn't like him after he changed. She just had to get used to it. "No, I'm changing. You should hurry up and change too." Just as Sylvia entered the changing room and was about to close the door, Jack squeezed in with an embarrassed face. "What are you doing?" Sylvia stared at him warily. "Didn't you say that I should change quickly?" Jack said shyly. "It's faster if we change together." Sylvia was speechless. Wouldn't there be a problem if they changed together? Where was her old puppy? He had really changed. Sylvia looked at him with a dangerous gaze. Jack felt the increasing danger and quickly took off his pajamas. Sylvia's eyes were the size of a saucer now. Did he do it on purpose, or did he not understand human language anymore? When they went downstairs, it was already 8:30. Sylvia looked at the time and wanted to cry. She'd originally decided to go downstairs at 8, but he had forcefully delayed her. She glared at the man beside her. Jack also felt resentful. The feeling of not fulfilling his desire was really heart-wrenching. What was even more awkward was that there were 5 or 6 relatives of the Kipling family sitting downstairs. Hearing the sound of footsteps coming from upstairs, the people downstairs all looked at them. Sylvia's legs felt a little weak and she felt a lot of pressure. After all, even though she had experience with Jeremy's family in the past, they had grown up together and the two families were quite familiar with each other. Moreover, now that the guest had arrived, she had come downstairs late. What would they be thinking? They might think that the two young people were intimate upstairs. Sylvia was quite guilty. "Come, let me introduce you." Rosaria stood up and introduced herself with a smile. "This is Jack's girlfriend, Sylvia. This is Jack's aunts and uncles. This is his cousin, Xavier." She finally pointed at the young man standing at the end. Not to mention, his facial features were quite similar to Jack's. They were both extremely good-looking men, but Xavier looked more mature and steady. His appearance was not as arrogant as those who had been in the business world for a long time. On the other hand, he seemed reserved, and Jack was the gentle and refined type of researcher. However, she knew Xavier. He was the type who was on par with her brother in the investment industry. Moreover, Jack had put money into his company to earn a lot of money. On the contrary, she thought about her own brother. This was someone else's older brother. He was not even a sibling, but merely a cousin. Melvin didn't invest her money with good judgment, but he always asked her to buy a house from him for investment. As a result,
She bought a lot of houses, but the house price did not go up much after that. Sylvia sighed in her heart. She put away her bitter past and went over to greet his relatives. After greeting them all the way over, she said apologetically, "I've been jet-lagged too much these past few days. I accidentally overslept. I'm so sorry." "It's okay." His aunt looked at her and waved her hand. "You guys must be tired after coming back from such a long distance. Hurry up and eat your breakfast." Rosaria brought out the pudding, pancakes, sausages, bagels, and juice for breakfast. There were a lot of different kinds. Sylvia probably hadn't eaten such a breakfast for a long time and thought it was quite delicious. After breakfast, she returned to the living room. Sylvia happened to hear Xavier on the phone, and his tone was indifferent. "Don't believe the company's one-sided information. That information has been beautified. Don't you think why Splingo hasn't made a move yet? They're also waiting." Sylvia looked at him in surprise until her hand was pinched. Sylvia turned her head and saw Jack whispering unhappily, "Why do you keep looking at other men? Don't look at them." His voice was soft, but his relatives all heard it. They all laughed, and his uncle said,
"Can't you see that our Jack is quite overbearing?"
Sylvia was embarrassed, so she had to explain it to everyone. "Because I heard Jack's cousin talking about Splingo on the phone just now." "Oh, do you know Splingo?" Xavier had heard her and laughed. "Oh, your last name's also Bennett, right? Are you Aaron's?" "I'm his sister," Sylvia said awkwardly. "Is that okay? I feel like you guys are competitors now." Xavier was surprised for a while. He knew Aaron's identity very well. "So, the chairwoman is your mother?" Sylvia nodded, feeling a little strange. Didn't Jack tell his parents anything? But thinking about his personality, she realized that he probably only told them that she was a woman. "I think I heard Mr. Maxwell mention it before," Adam said with a smile. "Sylvia's family seems to be famous in Rosewood City." "Not just famous," Xavier teased. "Jack, we all thought that you wouldn't be able to find a wife. We didn't expect you to find a rich wife in the end." "I'm not rich, I'm a police officer," Sylvia said seriously. Xavier nodded with a faint smile. "That's true. I'm sure it's not easy being your brother's sister." Sylvia was embarrassed, but she became curious. "Aren't you my brother's competitor? Why do I feel like you're familiar with him?" "That's for sure. We've been fighting since university, all the way from abroad to home. That's the type of enemy we are. I didn't expect that we'd become relatives in the end." Xavier also found it funny. "You two were classmates?" Sylvia was surprised. "Yes, back then, I was sent to the United States to study. I was his senior. Your brother as a person, he's arrogant. He's especially arrogant. If you talk to him a little more, you'll want to beat him up." Xavier sighed softly. "In order to obtain the school's investment for new students, the two of us became sworn enemies." "Oh, I know how you feel." Sylvia suddenly understood. Her brother had always been so annoying since he was young, so it was not easy for him to have two friends, Richard and Jeremy. After saying that, Xavier saw that his relatives all looked serious. He quickly said, "Don't think too much. Aaron is a little crazy, but I admire him. I admire him more because he doesn't do anything unscrupulous like the others in the investment field. He's crazy, but he has the right to be crazy. I think he's the only one in the entire industry who's qualified to be my competitor." "It seems like it's fate," his uncle smiled and sighed. Sylvia nodded in agreement. Can I take a photo with you?" Sylvia said with a smile. "I want to piss off my brother." Xavier nodded. Jack was not very happy.
His face was sour and his eyes were sad. Sylvia did not want to take a photo with him, but she wanted to take a photo with another man. After taking the photo, Xavier quickly moved away because he could already feel resentment from Jack. After taking the photo, Sylvia immediately posted it on her social media with the following text. I'm taking a photo with the country's best investor, Xavier Kipling. It's said that his investment is better than my brother's. After posting it, Jack immediately replied, I'm jealous. Sylvia, who was at the side, turned her head speechlessly. Seeing that he was holding his phone, she felt his jealous gaze. After a while, he said, Sylvia, you haven't even posted my photo. Sylvia found it funny. Was there a need to be jealous? She rarely sent him photos because her social media page was complicated now. It wasn't like before when everyone just sent out their feelings. Now it was all kinds of meaningless advertisements. Today, she just wanted her brother to see it. If he didn't cherish her sister, she would have a new investment backing. I didn't post it because I was afraid that others would be jealous and hate me, Sylvia said seriously in a low voice. After all, you're so handsome, perfect, and cute. You're also talented and you're a noble scientist. Do you know how many people are already jealous of me? In addition, I'm already good-looking, capable, and from a rich family. Can you give those unhappy female comrades a chance to live? Jack was stunned by her words, and she seemed to make sense. Girls there are now. It's better to have an open enemy than a false friend. So you have to keep a low profile. Sylvia analyzed seriously with him. Jack nodded, not fully understanding. So you're taking a photo with my cousin and saying that he's the best, but you're keeping a low profile? Sylvia was speechless. How did this guy react so quickly? It wasn't easy to fool him anymore. I'm mainly showing it to my brother. Sylvia quickly took out her phone and looked at her comments. By then, many people had already replied. Aaron commented, Oh, him? Best? Ha ha. Do you think I'm dead? Sylvia, you've never been sober in your life. It's time for you to wake up. April said, Wow, he's so handsome. I like him so much. Why do I like him so much? Aaron replied to April, Brat, are you playing with your mother's phone again? I'll scold you when I come back. Richard said, How do you know him? He's really good. He's been competing with us for a project recently. Why don't you use your beauty to lure him away? Winnie replied to April, Little Apple, don't play with your mother's phone next time, naughty. April replied to Winnie, What? I'm the cute little April Bennett. Can I add your cousin on Instagram? Sylvia asked Jack. I can invest in good projects in the future. No, Jack shook his head decisively. Why do you still want to invest? My money is yours anyway, and he helps me to run my money. There's no need for you to keep in touch. No, Jack shrunk his neck. You're so manly, I'm afraid that my cousin will fall in love with you. She really wanted to slap him back to his senses. The corner of Xavier's mouth twitched. It was not easy for such a person to find a girlfriend. In order to prevent his cousin from becoming single again, he quickly said to Rosaria, Auntie, let's hold the wedding banquet as soon as possible. I just can't wait to attend my cousin's wedding banquet. I'm afraid that if we delay too long, we won't be able to see that day. Rosaria was stunned. His aunt rolled her eyes at Xavier. Brat, how can you talk like that? Xavier smiled bitterly and reminded the elders in a low voice. Jack is too straightforward. Ordinary women really can't handle it. Rosaria immediately understood. Her son was indeed like that. She quickly said to Sylvia, Sylvia, let's make an appointment for the parents to meet. Jack's father and I will come to Rosewood City to meet your parents and discuss the wedding. Sylvia was slightly startled. She didn't expect Rosaria to suddenly become so enthusiastic. Just as she was about to speak, Jack suddenly stood up. Okay, I'll go upstairs and pack my luggage now. Let's go to Rosewood City together. She said to make an appointment, but she didn't say that it was now or today. Didn't he see so many relatives sitting here? Sylvia was also stunned. She quickly pulled him back. I still have to go down to the Central Bureau to meet Captain? Oh, then let's buy the plane tickets for this afternoon, Jack said without thinking. Sylvia smiled bitterly. Is there a need to be in such a hurry? My parents don't even know that you're back yet. How about this? It's rare for you to come back. Stay here with your parents for a while. I'll go back to the city tomorrow and explain things to my parents first. Besides, I still have some matters to attend to at the bureau. Jack became anxious when he heard that. Are you going back tomorrow? He couldn't bear to see her leave. If she left, he would feel bored staying here. Otherwise, he might as well follow her. I feel that you haven't been back for so long. You must have a lot of scientific research issues to discuss with your parents, especially your father. Don't you both study astronomy? Sylvia quickly said. Jack was stunned. That was true, but he liked her more than astronomy. Rosaria really wanted to spend more time with her son. Although she envied Sylvia for being close to him, she also knew that as a mother, she really didn't do much, so her son didn't stick to her.
Jack, I've recently gained a new understanding of the 9 planets. Let's find some time to talk, Adam asked tentatively.
Jack hesitated for a moment before reluctantly nodding his head. Rosaria smiled and said, Son, I've also recently made a breakthrough in the evolution of the living species. Let's chat too. Jack looked at her with disdain and decisively shook his head.
Not interested. Why don't you give me that pot of rose balls? I'll reluctantly chat with you.
Jack thought for a while and suddenly said. Rosaria took a deep breath. You're not talking about the pot in Mexico, are you? Jack nodded. Rosaria held her forehead and said after a while, I think you should go back to Rosewood City with Sylvia. It's not easy for the two of you to meet again and get together again. You should be very reluctant to part with each other. Adam glared at her. Is your son less important than a pot of cactus? In the afternoon, Sylvia went straight to the Central Bureau. In the captain's office, Sylvia also met with several high-level Interpol officers. Jeremy and Christian were also there.
Sylvia, Jeremy told me about your performance this time,
the captain said with a smile.
It was your first time carrying out such a mission. I can't say it's good, but it's considered a pass.
Sylvia heaved a sigh of relief. Back then, when she had barged into the villa ahead of time, she had been quite afraid of being criticized by her superiors.
But...
Captain paused, and his gaze gradually became serious.
You can't say that passing is enough to make you an excellent Interpol officer. This time, I've agreed to let you go because of the special circumstances. After all, you're Jack's girlfriend. If you want to officially join us, you'll have to go through many layers of selection. If you're willing, I can give you a registration form. But you have to think carefully. After you become an Interpol officer, you'll be handling cases abroad and will often travel abroad. You'll spend less time with your family.
Sylvia thought for a while and shook her head. I think I should go back to Rosewood City. I think that as long as I'm a policeman, no matter where you are, you're contributing to the people. Captain was not surprised and nodded.
You've done well in the city the past 2 years. Work hard. You're still so young and have a bright future.
Sylvia smiled and thanked him. When Sylvia came down from upstairs, Jack drove the car over and looked at her with bright eyes. You've been praised? What's there to praise? You are the biggest contributor to this mission, okay? Sylvia put on her seatbelt and told him the truth. Jack, I've decided to return to Rosewood City and stay a police officer. Although Interpol is very high class, they're often not at home. I realize that I want to spend more time with you and my family now. Jack nodded vigorously and heaved a sigh of relief. Actually, he did not want her to become an Interpol officer and did not want her to be too far away from him. Sylvia, I'll accompany you back to Rosewood City tomorrow. Sylvia could not help but say, Didn't I ask you to spend more time with your parents this morning? Jack frowned silently. It was not that he did not care about his parents. It was just that even in the past, he and his parents would only see each other a few times a year. Everyone was used to this method. Sylvia was serious. Jack, I know that your family is actually engaged in scientific research. Your whole focus is on research and you neglect your family. But you can't say that your parents don't care about you. I can see that you and your parents don't have much in common apart from doing research. But at their age, all they care about is companionship. You can accompany your father to chat and accompany your mother to hoe the plants. I believe they will be very happy. Also, you left without saying a word for 3 years, making them worried. Even if it's to go undercover, you're letting them down. In short, it's not right for parents to worry about their children. Jack was stunned by her words. After a while, he scratched the back of his head. Sylvia, haven't you ever made your parents worry? Sylvia felt guilty. Because I'm a police officer, my parents are always scared, so I've let them down. Especially in the past 3 years. I've been spending too little time with them. Jack looked at her silently. He had never thought of such a thing before. His elders might have said it before, but he had never been interested in listening to others talk. In fact, Sylvia was not just like his girlfriend, she was also like an elder at times. Sylvia, you're like my grandmother. Sylvia blinked. How was she like his grandmother? Could they still have a good chat? Okay, you can shut up now. Sylvia raised her hand. It's still early. I'll accompany you to the mall and buy some gifts for your parents. Okay, buy some for your parents too. Jack smiled and showed rows of white teeth. Didn't you say just now that you've let your parents down? Your parents are my parents. It's the same. You have to buy 2 sets of things. Sylvia felt warmth in her heart, so she did not argue with him. The two of them strolled until 6 o'clock in the afternoon before returning. Sylvia picked 2 sets of new clothes for Jack's parents. After returning to the courtyard house, Rosaria held the clothes in her hands and they were trembling. Her eyes were red. Hubby, our son also knows to buy me gifts. Look, these clothes are so beautiful. Ever since he was 12 years old, he hasn't given me any gifts. Adam also nodded. Men were not as sentimental as women, but he was also filled with emotions. My son has grown up. Look at how beautiful my shirt is. I'm wearing this on his wedding day. I'll definitely take good care of it. Sylvia was embarrassed. It was not easy for this couple, but it was also quite heartbreaking. Rosaria and Adam, you don't have to be like this. I'll often supervise Jack to give you gifts. Like those Father's Day and Mother's Day gifts, they're all necessary. Sylvia, you're such a sensible child. Rosaria was really satisfied with her now. It's nothing. It's only right to be faintly. After dinner, Jack went to take a shower. Sylvia went downstairs to get water. Just as she turned around, Adam walked over with a box in his hands. Sylvia, can I have a minute with you? Sylvia looked at the box in his hand. It looked low-key and luxurious. Was he going to give her some heirloom of the Kipling family? Sylvia suddenly became nervous. The heirloom they gave to April was a bracelet which was very valuable for the first match. Jack's family had royal roots. Could it be that they had heirlooms like jade bracelets? If it was too expensive, should she accept it or not? Sylvia, I just want to say thank you, Adam said with mixed feelings. To be honest, if I was ever a responsible and good parent, Jack wouldn't be like this. He wouldn't be unable to contact me when he was 12 years old and be buried down there for so long. In the past, he basically wouldn't talk to us about anything other than research, let alone others. It was you who made him change slowly. I can feel that no matter how slowly he improved, his personality also started to become more cheerful. I really don't know how to thank you. Sylvia quickly shook her head. Adam, don't say that. I'm his girlfriend, so this is what I should do. In fact, I couldn't accept Jack's personality at first, But after we got to know each other, I felt that because of this, he was simpler than many people. He was like a blank sheet of paper, making me feel safe. In fact, Jack also lacked love and care. I hope that in the future, you won't always think about research and can occasionally care about him more.
You're right.
Adam was deeply moved.
By the way, this is your first time here. I don't know what to give you. Anyway, since you're getting married, I will give you this thing. This is the most precious thing in our family.
You don't have to do this, Sylvia rejected. If the thing was too valuable, she would be too embarrassed to accept it.
Of course, if you want to be my daughter-in-law,
Adam said in a tone that could not be rejected. Thank you. Sylvia squeezed out a helpless smile. After holding it, she realized that it was quite heavy. She opened the box and was stunned. Why is it a stone? She stuttered as she asked. She had thought that it was a big piece of jade, so she had to bring such a heavy rock back from so far away.
This is not an ordinary rock.
Adam immediately adjusted his old black-rimmed glasses and said seriously,
This is a meteorite, a Martian meteorite. It contains a complete crystal structure of basalt and all kinds of rare minerals.
Oh. Sylvia was completely dumbfounded. So what was the point of giving her a Martian meteorite? She did not know how to study it, and what the hell was basalt? But seeing Adam's solemn look, she had to pretend to be shocked. Since it's so valuable, how about you keep it yourself?
No, I have decided to give it to you. Take it well, it's very precious,
Adam explained seriously. Sylvia's mouth twitched as she carried a meteorite upstairs. Jack's eyes lit up when he saw it.
My dad gave you the Martian meteorite?
Sylvia nodded. Just as she was about to ask him to return the meteorite, Jack became happy.
I didn't expect him to give you this. It's his favorite meteorite. It's good stuff.
Sylvia wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This was good stuff for you guys, but it was a useless hot potato to her.
This family was weird. Keep it, since it's from him,
Jack blinked and said.
Someone offered $15 million in the past, but my dad refused to sell it.
Sylvia's legs went soft. So she was holding $15 million in her hands? Just a stone would cost that much?
This is a Martian meteorite,
Jack said matter-of-factly.
Martian meteorites are the most expensive of all meteorites. The most expensive one was once sold for $100,000 per gram. This meteorite in your hands is several caddies.
Sylvia did not say anything. She now felt that this gift was very expensive.
Sylvia, stop looking at it. Let's go to sleep.
Jack suddenly took the box away with a blush and wrapped his arms around her waist. Sylvia recovered from her shock and immediately understood. However, she pretended to know the answer and asked, Okay, the kind of pure sleeping in the quilt? Jack was stunned and shook his head hard.
I want it.
What do you want? Sylvia said with a faint smile. Jack scratched the back of his head even harder as if his head was itchy, but his breathing became rapid.
You understand.
I don't know, Sylvia said innocently.
You know,
Jack insisted.
What you used to be best at?
Sylvia laughed. I'm the best at catching bad guys. Jack thought about it and smiled shyly.
You need handcuffs to catch bad guys. You used to love to use them on me.
Jack reached out with a look of anticipation.
Quick, cuff me to the bedside table. Do whatever you want.
Sylvia coughed violently. This guy had turned bad too. I can't. I don't have it with me now.
Then use the rope. Jack rolled his eyes.
Sylvia smiled and did not say anything until Jack could not take it anymore. He went up and kissed her lips slightly.
Sylvia.
He was really anxious. Be good. You can tie me up this time. Jack was stunned for a moment. When he imagined the scene, his nose suddenly turned red. He really couldn't take it anymore. The next morning, when Sylvia reached for the toast during breakfast, Rosaria suddenly said, "Sylvia, why are there traces of being tied up on your hands?" Jack choked on the food and coughed. He quickly picked up the bowl to cover his face. Sylvia calmly looked at the red mark on her hand and answered without a blush. "I was tied up when I went to Samoa. It wasn't obvious at first, but the marks have started to show over the past few days." Rosaria nodded. There were some scars that could not show up at first, but this made her admire Sylvia even more. She was so brave at such a young age, and it could be seen that she risked her life to save her son. "Good child, it's been hard on you. Come, eat more." "Auntie, this is what I should do," Sylvia answered with a smile. Jack looked at Sylvia in confusion. He thought to himself, how did Sylvia do it so well? She did not even blink when she lied. She was clearly the one who compelled him to tie her up last night, but the process was very beautiful. He laughed foolishly alone. After breakfast, Jack drove Sylvia to the airport. After arriving at the airport, he held her little hand reluctantly. "Sylvia, I'll come to meet you soon." "Okay." Sylvia reached out and hugged him. Sylvia put her bag on her back. "Bye-bye. I would kiss you, but I know you don't like it in a public space." Jack was stunned. He regretted it. It was just a public place. It was nothing. "Sylvia, actually, a public place is pretty good." Sylvia did not know whether to laugh or cry. She found that he was becoming more and more unprincipled recently. "I'm getting on the plane. Bye-bye." Jack waved his hand. After seeing Sylvia leave, he raised his head to look at the sky outside. It was so boring. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when the plane arrived at Rosewood City Airport, Sylvia brought her luggage out. The first person she saw was Aaron, and next to him was a little boy. The boy was wearing Captain America's helmet and clothes, and he was holding a shield and a sword in his hand. He was trying hard to entangle Aaron, but Aaron looked impatient. As Sylvia approached him, she heard Aaron say with disdain, "Don't come near me. I really don't know why you're wearing those things." Little Apple was not convinced. "You don't understand. I'm Captain America now. I'm going to destroy you on behalf of the moon." Aaron sneered. "You're spoiled by your mother. What do you call your behavior? It's one thing for you to imitate other things, but you have to imitate America? Next time, I won't allow your mother to take you to watch the Avengers. Just stay at home and watch Wolf Warrior and Long March." Little Apple raised his delicate chin arrogantly and said, "Huh? Aren't you just jealous that my mother took me to watch the Avengers? She didn't take you." "Childish," Aaron said disdainfully. "I won't go to this kind of movie even if you beg me. It's a waste of money and time." "Papa, you can't do this. That's why I don't want to go to the cinema with you." Seeing that the father and son were about to quarrel, Sylvia quickly went up to greet them. "Hi, Apple. You are looking very handsome today." "Hi, Auntie, you're back. Where's my present? You said you brought me a Transformers mask." Hi. Sylvia quickly took out the gift and handed it to him. Then she said earnestly, "This gift is from your uncle." Little Apple's Captain America helmet only revealed a pair of big, puzzled eyes. "When did I have an uncle? When did you have a husband?" Sylvia was unhappy when she heard that. "Didn't I tell you before? I had a boyfriend a long time ago. Although I'm not married yet. Him becoming your uncle is something that will happen sooner or later. He just didn't come back because he had some business overseas. This time, he's finally coming back." Little Apple tilted his head innocently. "Didn't you find an excuse to avoid me because you don't have a boyfriend? Just like how my father always said that he would sell me and said that I was adopted. In fact, I know that adults love to lie to children." Sylvia and Aaron's lips twitched speechlessly at the same time. Sylvia was quite upset. "Darling, that's not what you said before. You said that you believed me and that you would wait for your uncle to come back." Little Apple sighed.
My teacher said that lying too much will make you be convinced eventually. Auntie, don't lie to yourself just because you're not married. Don't worry. Even if you can't get married in your life, I'll take care of you when you're old.
Sylvia felt helpless. The kids these days were like adults. It's not like that. I do have a boyfriend. I'm not lying. Your uncle is in the country right now. He'll come to see me in a few days. I'll show him to you. If you don't believe me, you can ask your father or your mother. Little Apple raised his head to look at Aaron, who nodded. Sylvia held Little Apple's hand and walked out. As they walked, she said proudly, "Let me tell you, your uncle isn't an ordinary person. Being handsome isn't important. What's important is that he's a scientist."
Really?
Before she could finish, Little Apple was so happy that he almost jumped.
Is my uncle that good?
In the children's world, scientists were magical characters that were seen in books. They were rarely seen in real life. Everyone wanted to become a scientist, but it was as difficult as reaching the sky. Very powerful, Sylvia nodded. The watch on your hand was given to you by your uncle.
That's great!
Little Apple was extremely excited.
Then can he transform my body and make me a super soldier like Captain America?
After saying that, he waved his shield. Sylvia choked. Your uncle is a physicist and astronomer. Transforming his body isn't something he's good at. Moreover, if he really wanted to, he would be the first to transform a policewoman like her.
I see.
Little Apple thought for a moment.
Then transform me into Iron Man. Can you help me get armor like Iron Man's? Don't worry, I won't hurt humans. I'll try my best to save them.
Sylvia touched her forehead. That kind of superhero only exists in sci-fi movies. That's impossible. Little Apple's bright eyes immediately dimmed.
Then my uncle isn't that powerful.
Sylvia wanted to cry, but no tears came out. No one could do that. Aaron impolitely punched Little Apple's helmet. You want to be a superhero with your physique? Real superheroes rely on their own physique. Little Apple rubbed his head, feeling wronged.
We're not from the same world. I see the new world, and you see the old world. No wonder Mama always said that to you.
What does she always say about me? Aaron glanced at him with a dangerous and nervous look.
Nothing.
Little Apple turned his face away.
Tell me.
Aaron picked Little Apple up. He didn't care about anything else, but he did care about his wife's words. Little Apple was really afraid that Aaron would throw him out, so he quickly said,
Mom said that you're like an old antique.
Aaron's face turned blue with anger. How could he be an old antique? He was still handsome. He sneered and said, Your mom really doesn't know anything. Let me tell you, she's too shallow.
Okay, I'll tell my mother what you said.
Little Apple nodded. The Bennett family's old mansion was still a little far away, so Sylvia came to see her mother first. Another reason was that she had to discuss her marriage with her mother. David wasn't a person who knew how to prepare for a wedding, so it was better to look for Caitlin. After entering the door, Sylvia distributed the gifts that she had brought for everyone. In Caitlin's hands was a new dress that was of the latest style. Caitlin looked at it and said helplessly, The gift that you've chosen is as ugly as ever. Can you improve your taste? No wonder you're usually not feminine at all. Sylvia's happy little face suddenly became gloomy. It was true. She did not receive such treatment in the Kipling family. Mrs. Kipling treated her gift like a treasure and liked them very much. Looking at her mother, she felt harmed by comparison. Why are you looking at me? Caitlin continued. I'm telling the truth. Next time, buy me something with a softer color. Sylvia thought gloomily. I'll have to muster up courage for a long time before I dare to buy it for you, okay? Esther rolled her eyes at Caitlin. You should be satisfied with Sylvia buying it for you. You're so complaining. This is your daughter's goodwill. Caitlin quickly said, I hope that she can dress a little more like a woman. Oh, she's a police officer. Why would she dress like a woman?
It's not like she's trying to lure the enemy, Esther replied. She can wear it when she's not working. When has she ever rested? Esther asked. Caitlin didn't say anything. Her daughter was a workaholic. Sylvia looked at them with a bitter smile and said, Mom, actually, this dress was bought by Jack, and so were the gifts for Grandma and Grandpa. By the way, he's back. Everyone was stunned. Sylvia glanced at Aaron, then told them about Jack's undercover work. The crowd suddenly understood and felt a wave of admiration for Jack. Caitlin glared at her children. You've been lying to me for the past 3 years. I was worried that Sylvia would never marry. See? I was so worried that I had a few wrinkles. All right, stop arguing, Caitlin said. It's good that he's fine. However, Sylvia, you guys have been separated for so long. Jack's personality would definitely be different now. Can you guys return to how you were before? To me, he's still the same Jack as before, Sylvia smiled. I like him, and he likes me. The members of the family looked at each other for a while, but didn't say anything. After all, Sylvia had been with no one else for the past 3 years. It was obvious that Sylvia had really decided to be with Jack. 3 years ago, they were also satisfied with Jack, and now all they wanted was to see Sylvia get married as soon as possible. April came over in the evening. She congratulated Sylvia first. Congratulations, you're finally together. Yeah, our relationship is much more complicated than yours, Sylvia said with mixed feelings. But true love is always full of twists and turns. Aaron snorted disapprovingly. That's not complicated at all. You've broken up before. I've broken up before. And I've been abandoned before. You don't know how painful that is. April was speechless. The two siblings were competing to see who was worse off. Mom? At that moment, Little Apple ran over and hugged April's thigh. Daddy said that you're shallow today. Aaron's expression changed. This kid was always complaining. April. He looked at his wife worriedly. April smiled and patted Little Apple's head. Your daddy's right. I'm shallow. Otherwise, why would I marry him? Little Apple paused for a second, then suddenly understood. You're right, Mom. Aaron's face darkened. The mother and son had started working together to deal with him again. After dinner at the family's house, Aaron drove them to the family's old mansion. Sylvia explained to the Bennett family what had happened to Jack, and they all understood. The next day, Sylvia rested at home for a day before starting work. It happened to be Monday, and the people from the bureau hadn't seen Sylvia for a while. They were all stunned when they saw her. Captain walked over with a smile and patted Sylvia on the shoulder.
Captain Bennett, you didn't go to the wrong place, did you?
Oh? Sylvia raised her eyebrows. She didn't have a good relationship with this captain. In 2 years, the chief of the criminal police department was to be transferred, and the captains below all wanted to take that position. Captain York was one of them. Sylvia was the youngest captain in the detachment. Therefore, many captains were not convinced by her. In the past, Sylvia had always wanted to focus on her career, but now she had a balanced mindset. She wanted to get married. Captain York smiled.
Everyone in the bureau knows that Captain Bennett received a big case a few days ago and has already contacted Interpol. You should be entering the Central Bureau soon. Congratulations.
Sylvia waved her hand and pursed her lips. I was only temporarily transferred because they were short-staffed. Now that the case is over, I'm back. Captain York, you must be joking. How can I enter a place like the Central Bureau so easily? Captain York's face stiffened. He thought that she was leaving so that he would have one less competitor. Captain raised his eyebrows.
That's true. I saw that Captain Jeremy was back last time. I thought it must be him who gave you the opportunity to work with Interpol this time.
The corners of Sylvia's mouth sank. He was mocking her for relying on her connections to carry out the mission this time. Captain, do you mean that Captain Jeremy pulled some strings? Why don't I tell the director about this? I'll say that you think that the people at Interpol are easy to fool around, so they choose people randomly to carry out the mission. The captain's face turned dark when he heard this. Would he end up dead if the director heard this? How could he withstand such a huge slander against the Central Bureau?
Sylvia, I'm just joking.
He quickly squeezed out a kind smile.
I'm just saying that you and Captain Jeremy used to be on good terms. I heard that the two of you used to be boyfriend and girlfriend. You grew up together. Oh, right. How do you feel about going on a mission with him this time? Will you get back together?
The topic was too blunt to answer. I'm sorry. We have no intention of getting back together. Captain York, there are so many cases in the Bureau every day. But you still have time to care about such trivial matters. Sylvia asked bluntly. Have you solved the smuggling case? Captain York said with some embarrassment.
That case is large-scale and involves a wide range of cases. It won't be solved in a short time. I'm just concerned about your marriage. You said you're already 30 years old and should get married. My niece is 5 years younger than you and has a few children. I think Captain Jeremy is a good man and will be a good match. Captain, I'm afraid there's no hope.
Another colleague walked over and said with a smile.
You might not know this, but Captain Jeremy already has a girlfriend and will get married this year. His girlfriend's quite amazing and is also a criminal police officer in the Central Bureau. She's 2 years younger than Captain Bennett. That's really young, Captain York said with a smile. So, Captain Bennett, you have to find a boyfriend when you're young. It's not that you're not young anymore, but also girls shouldn't be too strong. It doesn't matter when you solve a case, but you should be gentle in your life. Please don't be unhappy. This is simply advice from your colleagues.
Sylvia impatiently pushed aside a chair in front of her and sat down. Captain, none of my relatives are like you who meddle in other people's business. Men shouldn't be too long-winded. It's more important to do your job. You're already in your 40s or 50s. Don't be nagging a person. If you're capable, let's compete to see who can solve more cases. As for my marriage, I already have a boyfriend, and I'm getting married. So don't meddle.
Hey, since when do you have a boyfriend?
Captain York snorted and raised his voice, attracting a lot of attention.
We've been colleagues for so many years, but we haven't even seen your boyfriend. If you don't have a boyfriend, then so be it. There's no need to lie. When the time comes, you can't just randomly get a man to marry you, right?
Everyone looked at Sylvia and discussed it heatedly. They all thought that Sylvia was lying. Carlo walked in and saw this scene. He said unhappily,
Sylvia does have a boyfriend, Professor Kipling from 3 years ago, and they never broke up.
Everyone instantly laughed.
Professor Kipling has long gone missing. Sylvia, people have to look ahead. That's right, Captain York nodded. Besides, even if he really comes back, maybe your relationship would already be over. You're the only one who's still living in the past.
Sylvia opened her laptop and couldn't be bothered by these people.
It's okay. Take your time to find a boyfriend, but don't lie.
Captain York patted her shoulder and walked away with a smile. Carlo was furious.
Why did you let them say that? This isn't your personality.
Sylvia smiled indifferently. If they want to see that I'm not good, they can only attack me from the fact that I'm not married. No matter what I say now, they won't believe me. Why do I have to waste my time? It won't be long before they will understand whether what I said is true or not. Carlo was stunned by her words. He said seriously,
You're not really going to get married, are you? Or has Professor Kipling found you?
Yes, he's back. Sylvia smiled sweetly. Her expression was sincere. Carlo knew that after Jack disappeared 3 years ago, Sylvia rarely smiled. Moreover, her smile was now so sweet that it couldn't be faked.
Congratulations!
He was happy for her.
Professor Kipling is so great. He still wants you.
Get lost, Sylvia rolled her eyes at him. The meeting began. The director, deputy director, and bureau chief went on stage to speak. The main point of the meeting was to emphasize the priority of people's lives and their property. At the end of the director's speech, he looked at Sylvia with a smile.
This time, our detachments. Sylvia was fortunate enough to work together with the Central Bureau's criminal police to supervise an international case. This case has been deployed for many years and has made great progress. I'm sure everyone has heard of the Tox Organization.
The Tox Organization was notorious internationally. This time, the Interpol side cracked down on 12 of the Tox Organization's strongholds and even captured all the leaders. The funds involved in the case were huge. Officer Bennett rescued the undercover agents hidden in the organization.
At the last moment, she even used herself to lure out the escaping Manda and capture her. At that time, Officer Bennett achieved this even though she was injured. She was very brave and also brought glory to our bureau. All of you should learn from her.
Sylvia raised her chest proudly. If it was in the past, she would have been embarrassed. However, after being praised too much, she became thick-skinned and felt very proud. Captain York, who had laughed at Sylvia earlier, looked at Sylvia with envy and jealousy. He said unwillingly,
Chief, we will learn from her. But if we carry out the mission, I believe we can do the same as Officer Bennett.
What he meant was that it was not that they were not brave enough, nor were they inferior to Officer Bennett. It was simply that they did not have the chance. The bureau chief narrowed his eyes and looked at Captain York. The chief captain said bluntly,
Captain York, do you know who the undercover agent in the Tox Organization was this time? It's Sylvia's boyfriend, Jack. 3 years ago, Sylvia and Jack were supposed to get married. However, the Tox Organization's case couldn't be pushed forward. In order to destroy the organization, under the persuasion of Interpol, Jack decided to go undercover. You all thought that he was captured by the Tox Organization. No, he was going undercover to provide the police with important evidence. And that time, it was very likely that he would not return. In order to solve this case, Sylvia had no choice but to endure and let Jack leave. You all have to ask yourselves, as a police officer, should you learn from her?
The entire conference hall instantly burst into an uproar. Everyone was discussing, and many people looked at Sylvia with admiration. Even Carlo and the others who were close to Sylvia were shocked and filled with admiration. They thought, think about it, if it were me, would I be able to do it? It would be difficult. Not only would she have to face the pain of losing her beloved person, but she also had to endure the strange gazes of others. Captain York's face was burning. He really wanted to bite off his own tongue. Why had he said so much just now? The chief coughed lightly.
Officer Bennett is indeed impressive. Although I am in a high position, I have also heard rumors about why Officer Bennett has never married and refused to find a boyfriend. Have you ever thought about how she feels?
Sylvia quickly replied, Chief, don't say that. Since I chose to do this back then, I don't care about what others say. The director nodded.
I only found out about your story in the past few days. Sylvia, I'll record merit for you. Let's call it a day. Meeting adjourned.
After the leaders left, one after another, Sylvia was instantly surrounded by a large group of colleagues. Everyone just came to praise her or ask her when she would get married. However, Sylvia was not too interested and returned to her office after a while. The people on the first team were very happy to see her back. Carlos said directly,
Sylvia, without you here, we simply have no leader.
What cases have you received recently? Sylvia asked with a smile. A subordinate handed her a document. It's the arson case from 2 years ago at the Japanese food shop. It's been so long, it's hard to investigate. Sylvia sighed as she stroked her hair.
There have been too many unsolved cases in the past few years. Last week, Captain sent a few unsolved cases to his subordinates. This is the most recent case,
Carlos said helplessly. Sylvia clapped her hands. All right. Call everyone into the conference room. We'll have a meeting on this case and listen to everyone's opinions. Halfway through the small meeting, Jack called. Sylvia took a look and immediately hung up. In less than half a minute, Jack sent a message. Why aren't you picking up my call? Do you not love me anymore? Sylvia saw the message and her expression froze for a few seconds. She ignored it and continued to analyze the case with everyone. Not long after, the phone rang again. Lenny smiled and said, "Captain, is it Professor Kipling? Pick up." "It's okay. We didn't see anything." "I can't be distracted at work," Sylvia said seriously. This was her rule. Carlo covered his mouth and laughed. "It's different when your boyfriend's back. There are calls from your boyfriend at work." "I think you've been quite free recently," Sylvia said. "I'll leave the investigation of the victims to you. You have to investigate all those who had disputes with the victims or have bad relationships with them." Carlo was depressed. The case happened 2 years ago, and there were several victims. It would be extremely exhausting to find out. If he had foreseen Sylvia's response, he would not have said anything. After the meeting ended, it was already noon. Sylvia walked to the cafeteria and answered Jack's phone. The phone rang and he picked it up. "Sylvia, why did you take so long to call me back?" Jack was depressed. "I was in a meeting just now," Sylvia said. "Then you can reply to my text when you're in a meeting," Jack said in a low voice. "You sent me a message before the meeting." "At that time, I was a small criminal police officer. I didn't have much work except for occasional business trips. After all, I was not an important person. It's different now. I'm the team leader and I'm the boss. How can the boss send a text message in front of her subordinates to her boyfriend?" Sylvia asked in a low voice. "I see." Jack understood. "Sylvia, I'll come over tomorrow morning with my parents." "So soon?" Sylvia was stunned. She thought that he would at least stay in for 4 or 5 days. "I don't know if I can take a day off tomorrow." "Sylvia, you can't do this." Jack became anxious. "You have to accompany me properly and then go on a trip with me." She had gone out for a while this time and had a few more cases piled up in her hands. "If I want to go on a trip, I have to take annual leave. My previous annual leave was unused. I will hand in an advance notice this time. However, I can't go out and have a trip right away. I still have to finish my cases in hand and wait for the higher-ups to approve my annual leave." "Oh, okay." Jack was disappointed, but it was only for a short while. Sylvia had already promised him to use her annual leave. "What time will you arrive at the airport tomorrow? I'll pick you up." 12 o'clock, Jack said. "Are your parents free? Let's have lunch together." "There's no need to be in such a hurry." Sylvia was amused. "We can have dinner at night." "We discussed it in the afternoon. We'll get the marriage certificate tomorrow afternoon." "Oh, right. I'll bring the housing register with me," Jack said cheerfully. Sylvia's mind went blank. Was there a need to rush? "Why aren't you speaking?" Jack was puzzled. "You didn't tell me you were going to get the marriage certificate tomorrow afternoon." Sylvia felt that she was very confused. "Didn't I mention it now?" Jack said matter-of-factly. "Are you not willing again? Do you dislike my disfigurement?" His tone suddenly became very resentful. "I think it's justified to live with you after getting a certificate. Otherwise, your father would keep staring at me. In the past, we didn't go to the last step when we lived together, but in the morning, I left. I should have married you 3 years ago." All right." Sylvia heard him say so much and understood the gist of it. "I'll get the certificate tomorrow." Jack chuckled. "All right. I'll move directly to your place tomorrow." In the afternoon, Sylvia sat in her office in a daze. Actually, she still had a lot of cases to investigate, but now she couldn't concentrate at all and was inexplicably excited. In the end, she simply walked out and said to her colleagues, Don't work overtime today. I'll treat you to dinner. Everyone was stunned. Carlo immediately understood and nodded.
It's indeed time for you to give us a treat.
Everyone was high until very late at night. Sylvia drank a lot of beer. Because she was too happy, she became drunk in the end. Later on, she became dizzy and directly took a car back to the family's old residence. David came out in his pajamas, and when he saw her staggering in from outside, he couldn't help but frown.
You're a police officer and you're drunk. This is outrageous.
Dad. Dad. Sylvia looked at him and giggled. Hurry up and give me your blessings.
What?
David looked at her vigilantly. Ugh, I'm going to register tomorrow. Hurry up and give it to me. Sylvia kept pushing him. I have a short memory. I'm afraid that I'll forget, so I have to sleep with your blessings. David pulled her hands away and said in shock,
Why didn't you tell me that you're going to get married? Does your mother know? She hasn't even met Jack's parents. I don't agree.
I'll see you at noon tomorrow. We'll go and get the certificate in the afternoon. Sylvia pouted and shook David's arm. If you don't agree, I'll go and look for it myself. David couldn't stop her. In the end, he had no choice but to give her what she wanted. Sylvia was so drunk that she didn't even have a shower. She hugged herself and fell asleep. The next day, Sylvia woke up and the incident from last night came to her mind intermittently, and her face started to heat up. She didn't think that she would do such a thing, making it seem like she really wanted to get married. When she went downstairs, she was still a little embarrassed. David said snappily, How was it? You didn't lose your bucket full of blessings, did you? Dad, Sylvia smiled and threw him a look. Wasn't I drunk last night? Granny Bennett was actually smiling. This morning, David had already told them about Sylvia's getting a certificate. The two of you have wasted so much time. It's time for you to get married. Jack's a good man, brave and kind. Grandpa Bennett nodded. In the past, he had thought that Jack was too introverted and not masculine enough. However, after this incident, he was filled with admiration for him from the bottom of his heart.
I'll get your brother to book a place for lunch. The two families can have a meal together.
Thank you, Grandpa. Sylvia smiled. After breakfast, she rested for a while. Then she drove to the airport to pick up Jack. There was a traffic jam on the way. By then, Jack's family had already come out. After getting in the car, Jack decisively sat in the front passenger seat. Then he pulled Sylvia's hand and said lovingly, Sylvia. Yes? Sylvia thought he would say something like, I miss you. She was a little embarrassed. After all, Jack's parents were sitting in the back. Have you got your identity proof? Unexpectedly, Jack took out his own ID from his bag. I have mine. Rosaria rolled her eyes at her son. Looking at her son's behavior, he didn't seem to have any restraint at all. Sylvia was embarrassed and answered vaguely, I've brought it. Jack immediately beamed with joy. Adam said in embarrassment, Sylvia, have you told your parents yet? They still have to agree. They all agreed, Sylvia said with a smile. They agreed 3 years ago. Adam and Rosaria finally felt relieved. Before they came, they had asked Xavier about the Bennett family. At first, they were not sure, but later they found out that the Bennett family had such a powerful background, especially Sylvia. As a daughter, she was born wealthy. However, she relied on herself to become a police officer. After understanding her, Adam and his wife liked Sylvia even more. They were also clear that the Kipling family was not bad in terms of conditions, and they were also an outstanding family. However, compared to Sylvia's older brother and her mother, they couldn't be considered wealthy. Compared to their education, Bennett family was definitely not as good as the Kipling family. In fact, they could be considered to be of equal status. Thinking of genetic inheritance, the Kipling couple regretfully thought it would be a little difficult for their grandchildren to become scientists in the future. Officially met. David and Adam shook hands with a myriad of emotions.
We finally meet after 3 years.
Isn't that right? Good things come to those who wait, Adam said with a smile. After some small talk, they discussed the matter of marriage. The process was very smooth. After all, the Bennett family was not short of money, and the Kipling family was not stingy. Soon, the discussion was settled, and the whole family began to ramble on. At 2 o'clock, Jack saw that their parents had no intention to leave, and he could not wait but stand up. Dad, Mom, you guys can talk. I'm going to get a marriage certificate with Sylvia. Everyone was stunned for a while, and then they started to laugh. Sylvia's face was flushed red as she stomped on his feet under the table. Why were they in such a hurry? Even if he had no reservations, she wanted to be restrained. Caitlin smiled and asked, What's the hurry? The Civil Affairs Bureau doesn't get off work until 5 o'clock. April smiled and said, Mom, you don't understand people who are in love. They want to become husband and wife as soon as possible. They can't wait. David nodded and said,
Both of you are not young anymore. It's time for you to have children.
Dad, what are you talking about? Don't be ridiculous. Sylvia rolled her eyes at her father in embarrassment. She didn't understand why they were talking about having children.
I'm telling the truth, David said rudely. Look, little Apple is about to go to school. Jeffrey is younger than both of you. He's about to have 2 children.
Sylvia's mouth twitched. How could an average person compare to Jeffrey? Even his brother couldn't compare. Aaron stopped. So jealous. It was one thing for Jeffrey to have 1 daughter, but now Winnie was pregnant again. He secretly looked at April, his fingers hooked around her little finger under the table. Sylvia and Jack were going to get a certificate, and soon the 2 families left. Little Apple went to play, and Aaron sent April off.
You said you were going shopping. Who are you going with?
Winnie, April said. Aaron's face turned sour when he heard that. He was annoyed by Winnie and Jeffrey.
Young people nowadays don't do their jobs properly. They don't work hard, but they get pregnant every now and then. The country becomes full of such young people. The GDP figures will be dragged down.
April's mouth twitched slightly. She could see that her hubby had been ruined by jealousy. Winnie's career isn't stable right now. It's okay for her to get pregnant now, and it won't affect her status in the coming year. Besides, she's still young. As for Jeffrey, he's working hard after graduation. Why does it affect GDP? Our country even encourages people to have a second child.
Speaking of encouraging people to have a second child, you should respond to the country's call and cooperate with me,
Aaron said immediately. April rolled her eyes at him and asked, Didn't I cooperate with you? I've been cooperating with you since I found out that Winnie's pregnant.
Yeah, why aren't you pregnant?
Aaron raised his eyebrows.
Do you need me to take you to the hospital for a checkup?
That makes sense. But I think you need a checkup more than I do. After all, you're much older than Jeffrey, April said seriously. As you get older, your sperm survival rate gets lower. I'm still in my prime. Every time I compare myself to you, I suddenly feel so young. Aaron's face darkened. Was he very old? He didn't think so. However, compared to Jeffrey, who was 25 years old, he wasn't that young. Seeing the changes on his face, April sighed speechlessly. He asked her to get a checkup. He deserved it.
April, I was wrong. I was holding you back,
Aaron said sadly. Yeah, it's good that you know you're wrong, April nodded. His wife didn't give him any face, so Aaron had to bite the bullet and say,
Maybe I didn't win simply because I was slightly older than Jeffrey. Now that you mention it, Sylvia will also have had a hard time getting pregnant. After all, Jack is about the same age as me. I'm really worried about him.
April thought to herself, I don't think you're worried sick about him, but I think you're gloating over his misfortune. Having a baby is destiny. Sometimes the more you force yourself, the less you'll get. Besides, you really don't need to be envious of others every now and then. Isn't it good for us? Look, Winnie's having a baby now. Is Jeffrey getting as much physical attention as you do? Erin paused for a moment, then thought for a while and realized she was right. Back when she was pregnant with little Apple, he had doubted that he was a man every day. Now that he thought about his life, it was sweet.
April, you're right.
Erin held her little hand and said with a smile,
Now that you mention it, I want to cherish our time together. Don't go shopping with Winnie. Come with me.
April glared at him and said, I've already promised Winnie. Besides, aren't you going to go to the company in the afternoon? I'm with you every night. Aren't you satisfied enough?
Not enough. We've been married for so long. Why do I like you more and more?
Erin stopped driving. He leaned over, gently stroked her hair, and kissed her cheek. April raised her head and looked at the face in front of her. She was happy too. They had been married for so many years. Some of their classmates had gotten divorced and became single again. However, they were still the same. Erin saw that she didn't say anything, but was looking at him gently. He couldn't help but kiss her on the lips. April covered his mouth. Drive. I have an appointment with Winnie at 3:30 p.m. I can't let a pregnant woman wait for me too long. Jeffrey will kill me. Erin was instantly disappointed. He looked like a child who couldn't eat any candy and was complaining.
I've already expressed my love for you, but I didn't expect that after so many years. Winnie's more important to you. Look at me. No matter how much time has passed, Richard is nothing compared to you.
April didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Fortunately, Richard had Jennifer. Otherwise, she would have been in a terrible situation. I can't choose my lover over my friend, can I? I can't cancel the appointment at the last minute because I want to keep you company. All right, I'll make you some delicious food tonight, okay? While speaking, she touched his stomach and said, What do you want to eat? I'll go to the supermarket before I come back. Come and pick me up. Erin rubbed his forehead with satisfaction and said,
You know what I want to eat the most.
After saying that, he glared at her. April coughed. Her face turned slightly hot. She really didn't understand why he couldn't get tired after so long. Sylvia sent Jack's parents to the house that Jack had bought in Rosewood City. Mr. Maxwell had been staying there for the past few years, waiting for Jack. He was quite excited to see them coming back together. Mr. and Mrs. Kipling, we will go to get a certificate first. I'll pick you guys up for dinner in the neighborhood tonight, Sylvia said. No need. You young people go do your own things. Rosaria waved her hand. His father and I are going to have dinner with a few professors here. We'll go back tomorrow. So soon? Sylvia was surprised. Just for a few days? There are many fun places in Rosewood City.
I'm not interested, Adam said directly. We haven't gone out to work for a long time because of what happened to Jack. I have an appointment with a research group. We're going deep into the western region the day after tomorrow. A university also invited me to give a few lessons to the biology students, Rosaria also said. Sylvia sighed. As a researcher, the Kipling family was really busy. Uncle Kipling, you still have to take care of your health when you go out to the west. The environment there is quite harsh. Don't worry, he and I have been running in the mountains all year round. My health is very good. Moreover, people like me have to die in scientific research in order to live a worthwhile life, Rosaria said with deep emotion. Sylvia, I am relieved to have you take care of our Jack. Don't worry about me. Go get that certificate. Jack really couldn't wait any longer. He pulled Sylvia and left. On the way, Sylvia drove. Jack sat in the passenger seat and kept twisting his body. Sometimes he closed the window, and sometimes he opened it. What are you doing? Are you uncomfortable? Sylvia said bluntly. I'm nervous, Jack said faintly. I'm suddenly getting married. I'm nervous. Will you be good to me for the rest of your life? Will you always love me? I'm a little scared. You won't abandon me halfway, right? Damn it, this kind of thing was usually asked by girls, okay? There's nothing to be nervous about. Sylvia held his hand. She was indeed not nervous. She was excited in the morning. But now she was not excited. Instead, she was very calm. Perhaps she felt that this was just a matter of time. Listen to your wife well in the future. I definitely won't abandon you. Jack nodded honestly. He didn't have any good points, but he was especially obedient to his wife.